I made a video almost a month ago saying that she will change. I literally made a video and I said that I feel like she's gonna change because she really kind of embodies a person who feels guilt. Right? Not every person feels guilt, sadly, and that's true. It's not like a psychosis thing or anything. It's just people. It's really people. Not everybody can feel guilt in some sort of level. Like when you see, I don't know, when you see OF and stuff like that, a lot of people feel guilt and they move on. A lot of people don't feel guilt, and a lot of people feel guilt and just move on, right? For her situation, I was observing her actions in the Logan Paul clip. It was literally just from that one clip of me watching the Logan Paul podcast. And I said, is she going to change, right? And so when I was observing her, I had a feeling that she would, right? And the reason is because there were certain sentences that I was like, she really is being genuine. And there's certain sentences where I was like, if this is true, if this is how she feels, there is no way she's not going to change, okay? And let's be real. Mind you, just be a clarification here. I am not a Christian, okay? So letting you guys know I am not a Christian. But anywho, so moving on. What I'm saying is people who tend to ask these questions, 99.99% of them change because a lot of these feelings don't go away, just especially when you get older and especially when you have this more tendency of, feeling more kind of stuff. Like, you know how when you're in the teenage years and you're like feeling more emotions and all of that kind of stuff, that's what's happening when you get older. Especially within, the whole spiritual stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I do feel like that, yeah, she will change. And I did feel like that she will change. And I had a feeling that, yeah, she would change. She said stuff like, there's this one sentence that she said on the Logan Paul podcast, and I can't, until this day, I literally can't, unhear it. She said, like, she'll wake up in the middle of the night, right? And she'll ask her boyfriend or husband, I don't know, but her boyfriend. And she will ask, does God hate me, right? And so, like, that sentence alone, whether you're a Christian or not, the fact that she's feeling some sort of guilt or something like that gave me, and just in my head, just gave me a feeling that she's going to change in a way where, I feel like a lot of people would change. But I also have another theory, and I don't know if I touched on it in the last video, but I do have a theory that people are actually going to hate her for this, not because she's quitting, but because her entire career involved OnlyFans. And here's the thing. When creators say they're quitting something, they're not quitting. They will never quit. Let's be real, okay? Let's say I'm out here and I'm saying, okay, I'm quitting TikTok because TikTok sucks, right? 99% of the time, if I say that, I'm not quitting. You know why? Because maybe I'm getting $1,000 per video on a TikTok video. So why would I quit if I'm getting good revenue? And so the thing is, the fact that she's quitting OF, even though she's still getting high revenue, shows a remorse with it. And I think people is not going to get it. And I think people is going to be like, well, since she started and since she did all these types of crap, I'm not going to forgive her, move on. I mean, at the end of the day, people are people, right? This is why we have hate comments. This is why in society we have people who try to destroy your dreams. And this is why in social media we have people who tend to hate so much they make it their own personality and their own account persona. And yeah, and I do have a theory that, later on, I feel like we will see a lot of hate, but at the same time, I feel like quickly people will change, right? Depending on what she has to offer. She says she's doing something new, but even then, I don't know, okay? I'm just happy that, that I was right because, these types of stuff, I'm right with stuff that is stuff that's like really bad things. I'm talking stuff like, just as anything that comes with, let's say, really, really bad things that's going on in the world. I'm like most of the time right about it, okay? I'll make theories and sometimes I'll be right, sometimes I'll be 50% right. But anyways, I'm not right all the time. But let's be clear. I'm not right all the time. I'm always right on the stuff that is bad. But like let's say 100 bad things happen, I'll probably be right with like one or two things, right? But then when it comes with good things, for some reason, it would literally need to be 1,000 times I would need to experience 1,000 good things, and then if I want to predict every single one of them, I would probably be right one or two of them. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I was right, with that kind of actually makes me happy because, that kind of shows, first of all, a genuine change for a person, right? And at the same time, it kind of shows like, hey, if people like this can change, so can other people. And yeah. I also kind of tend to take a lot of stuff deeper than most people, but like I'm just saying this right now, people do change, and people, don't. You know what I'm saying? Like there's an entire book in the Bible where it talks about Paul, right? Paul, like literally, there's an entire. I think there's like an entire story of him where Paul was like evil, bad, and he killed people, and then at the end of the day he changed, he served God, and he literally became one of the top priests out there. He started the first church. I'm not saying she's like Paul, but what I'm saying is like, if people can change, so can she. And the fact that she's really feeling remorse, really feeling these types of things, and really trying to understand what's going on, I feel like that, she's changing. Now, there is the video I also watched, and so it talks about how she's quitting all that, but there's like this tiny little video, or a tiny little section where she talks about her soul, right? Now, she says, I feel like I'm meant to do something like within my soul. Now, here's the thing. I'm not observant, right? Like, I don't care for this, right? But like for some reason, when I just for a second heard that, it kind of went me back to Logan Paul's podcast, how she was again talking about God and her family was religious. So I don't know, maybe something is correlating there, but even then, I'm just saying the fact that she's going to change, the fact she's changing, and the fact she's like saying, okay, I'm quitting, I think it's time to quit, I think that's a good sign. Especially with the whole drama she had, especially last year and even then. And again, it's good. And at the same time, I feel like people is going to hate. I think people's going to hate. I think people's going to, be like, oh my God, her career is over. This is terrible. And I just do have a strong feeling about this because people are just being people at the end of the day. When I was little, I used to be told some crazy nonsense in elementary school. And so a teacher just comes up to me and she says, come here. And so I come with her and she says, don't listen to those people. A lot of times these people are just either mad at themselves or, they just pick, right? And it's the same thing when you grow up, right? That lesson is true. And I feel like these types of people are either mad about something or they just pick because they don't want you to be improved, right? Even if you're making a lot of money and all of that stuff, it's not easy to change something about yourself that you're doing good on. Like, let's say you're stealing something, right? And you're making millions of dollars, but then if you have a regular job, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's harder to do that, and it's harder to change in a way, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. And so I feel like even as people, we have to be mindful and understanding of, what people go through and what people, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. But anyways, that's all I have to say with this video. I'm just going to be completely honest. The fact that, she's willing to change and move on, I think that's pretty good. And we don't see this a lot. We don't, especially now, especially where people's gonna, especially now, like where people are heading to, people are, I think nowadays, more ignorant, more angry. Like, I'll even post TikToks and stuff like this, and it's like literally just covered with hate for no reason. And even then, people's hearts are getting colder, and, we don't see that kind of stuff in the real world. And that's good. And I think that's a good sign that maybe, something out there is healing, right? Something is moving on forward. But yeah, dude, again, all I have to say is at the end of the day, people can change. And at the end of the day, people will surprise you, right? Even if people can be stubborn, people can be really weird, annoying, and stupid, at the end of the day, people can change. And I know this bottom of my heart because I've changed. I used to be a terrible person, and now I'm self-improving. And there's a lot of people out there who are terrible people, and maybe one day they're gonna change. One day they won't. You don't know what the universe has planned for you. So if no one tells you, nobody changes, they're just full of bullshit. I mean, at the end, yeah, really, that's all it is. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just happy that I'm right, you know. That just kind of feels like, okay, you know, something is doing something. Maybe God is doing something. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.